right, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to the show. I've kicked Steve Payne out of here because we're going to get into some of the stuff I do in consumer advocacy. We're going to talk about real estate here today. The housing market seems to be off to a pretty good start. A lot of activity in the median price range. Also a lot happening in luxury. And in that marketplace, we go to our expert, our real estate elite, Seth O'Byrne. I can never really niche you to a market anymore because you cover so much of the San Diego marketplace. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Also with you is Amanda Singer, who I know is an asset for your business as well. We're going to talk a little bit about mediation, some of the things you do. Welcome to the show as well.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Seth, you were on the American Dream last Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Seems like a long time ago now, but let's recap some of the cool things you talked about. First of all, we got into the market, your marketing, and then brought in Pablo to talk about estate planning. So let's recap some of the things people need to know here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just like anybody kind of in the professional world, you work with people in all different life stages. So Pablo's an interesting relationship I have, not too different than my relationship with Amanda Singer in San Diego Family Mediation, in that we work with couples when they're starting their lives, when they're buying their first homes, and they're creating wills and trusts, and really in the first stage. But then, many times, unfortunately, things don't go exactly how you want them to go. And when there are when families do suffer losses and there's real estate left over, Pablo then turns to us to liquidate that real estate. So we help them set up trusts, and then when someone does pass away and we need to use those trusts and the protection that he as an attorney set up, we're there to kind of we were there at the very beginning, and we help them at the end.
Now that he's not here, and now that the show's behind us,
sure,
I got to admit, he did a great job on the show.
Yeah.
That's easy to admit. I got to admit, I didn't think he was going to do a great job on the show. I really didn't. I mean, going into it, the TV's a whole different beast. I mean, this is different now, right, than how we used to do in radio. Now we got the visual production, but TV's kind of nerve-wracking. So every time you bring on a new guest, it's always like, how are they going to do? And he was awesome.
He really was. And, it's funny because he had absolutely no lead up to that.
Right.
We
do that very well.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's more authentic, you know, and really I was surprised because I thought he must have memorized what he was doing or what he was saying because he said it so eloquently. And then we were recapping it kind of as we got off the show, and he was still talking in that same way. I thought, this guy actually thinks like this.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy must be brilliant.
It's good. So I want to get to Amanda here in just a moment, but we also talked about the real estate market. People are always tuned into the show for that. So what are you seeing out there now?
Yes, actually, it's I'm very honest with the market. When it's not performing where I think it's going to perform, I'm not someone to give advice based on whether or not someone's going to buy or sell a piece of real estate.
Thank you for that.
And I have to say, going into the spring, knowing that we had such a hot 2013-14, I was concerned we were at the very top of a roller coaster that may correct. And sure, there is a correction somewhere down the road, but I think given how January has played out, it's a little further down the road than we suspected.
Okay.
I think intrinsically the market is stronger than I had feared. I'm a little bit of a worrywart, to be totally frank with you. I think that the enthusiasm about real estate in San Diego is higher than it ever has been.
I think so too.
And part of that also, you have to remember, is fueled by the fact that, in fact, this last weekend, I was taking a couple from San Francisco around that lives in Presidio Heights. $2.5 million for the same condo you buy for $500,000 here.
Wow.
There's a lot of wealth being created in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. San Diego is an affordable place, so I think, as San Diego's grown, we're going to see more and more sustained markets like this.
Well, if you want to reach out to Seth O'Byrne, he's one of the best in the business, become a great friend of mine over the years, SethSold.com, SethSold.com. But you know what I really appreciate about you, Seth? That when we have you on the American Dream, our morning show, which people can see at craigsewing.com, we let you kind of develop the content. We don't want to position you in a way where it doesn't speak to what you are seeing on the day-to-day. And in your decision to come on the show last Saturday morning, you intentionally brought in Pablo, last name again, drawing a blank.
Palomino.
Palomino, that's right. An estate planning attorney. And it's because you felt that it's so important that people understand some of the other financial implications of real estate. And, not to throw the entire real estate community under the bus, but certainly some that just want to make a commission, right?
Sure.
Whether you're buying or selling, speaks to the same point when you're saying that you don't always want to be rah-rah about real estate, right? You want to be honest with the situation. So it goes to show you, Seth is thinking a layer deeper. He's much more than just a realtor, but he's a resource. If you reach out to him at SethSold.com, you can be introduced to all of the professionals he has at his fingertips. But he brought one in with him here today in Amanda Singer, who specializes in mediation.
Exactly.
Different than meditation, which I've been talking a lot about lately.
Yes, it
so
is.
mediation. So it's really interesting to me what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than steal your thunder, explain to everyone what you do, and then we'll get into how it ties into real estate and all that.
Yeah, for sure. So I work as a family mediator, which makes me a neutral third party that can help couples going through any family issues. So majority of the clients that we see are going through a divorce, but we also help with the premarital mediation as well as blended families or kind of any family issues that come up. And I am an attorney, but when I work with them, I'm not representing either of them, so I'm able to be neutral and help them with the whole process that they need help with.
So premarital. This guy right
Exactly.
next to you is getting married, apparently
I hear.
to a mermaid here in a few months. Have you heard this?
I have.
Seth,
I'm a little bit of an overshare on social media. I'm really sorry.
I owe you one right now.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Let me tell you right now, Saturday morning, so my girlfriend is friends with Seth O'Byrne and loves him to death. Everybody does so. And he's got these posts that are just awesome posts, and they're talking about his personal life or the market or whatever. And this Saturday morning, you can imagine me walking around still in the clothes I slept in and eating eggs, and I see this post. I go, have you seen Seth's post? And she's like, yes, it was so sweet. I'm like, damn him. I was like, he makes all boyfriends look bad with posts like that because he has such a nice sentimental posting publicly about your soon-to-be wife. It was a cool post. But anyway, so you do premarital stuff?
We do, yeah. So if you're looking for a prenuptial agreement or just looking to do some financial planning and really have those conversations that not everyone has before they get married, financial conversations, life, what are your goals? It's a lot to have, and people just aren't doing it these days.
Well, it's a contractual agreement, right?
Exactly.
And then, what is it, 60% now end in divorce? I think San Diego is much worse. You probably know those numbers better than me.
Yeah, it's, a lot of it depends on your age when you get married and whether it's your first or second or third marriage.
Second and third is like 80, 90%,
Yes.
I've learned.
Yes.
Fail rate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. I
Yes.
thought at some point you would just...
Get better.
That's,
Figure it out.
typically most sports I get better when I do it more, right?
You would think that, it's like don't redo it a third time if you're not going to, go it for success. I don't know. But on a prenup, I always wonder about that because I've never been married. We don't have to get into your personal situation, but now that's got to be a real sensitive conversation. When do you have the prenup? Do you have it right after you get engaged? Do you have it leading up to getting married? About what time do you think is right? And then that's got to be a sensitive deal for you to get in the middle of.
Yeah, so it definitely is because it's an exciting, happy time for the couple, but it's also a stressful conversation to have. And so what we do, though, through mediation is kind of help with that a little bit. So usually one person's going to go to an attorney, do it all themselves, and the other person might feel ambushed or unsure what's going on.
Which is not what you want.
Exactly. So in mediation, we're going to bring them both in together, have those conversations, and then help them with the actual agreement. In terms of time, there's some legal requirements of how soon before the wedding it can be signed and reviewed. But other than that, just couple months leading up to it, starting to have those conversations and figuring out what you both want.
I have a friend that won't get married because he is scared of the prenup or not. The potential wife doesn't want him to have a prenup.
Oh, sure.
And he wants a prenup. He's a really successful guy. And I look at it, it's like if you're going to get married, it's like you got to be all in, right? So how do you do that? How do you handle that sensitive conversation?
Yeah.
They're not getting married. Maybe I should introduce you.
Help them out. I think the biggest thing about it is to let them know that it's not about just getting divorced. There's a lot that you're planning for. You're planning for your life. And so the idea is that you do this document that you're never going to have to hopefully look at because you're going to stay together. But it's to plan. Do you want the state of California to say how everything happens if you get divorced?
Right.
If you don't.
And it's expensive and all that.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think it's helping the couples understand that we're looking towards their future together. And you can differentiate money that they brought into the marriage versus money that they have while they're together versus the time that they're together. So there's a lot of things that you can do and be creative with that we're able to help the couples figure out.
All right, now let's get into the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side of the shoot, you're one of the higher percentage. You fall into the category if you're going through a divorce.
Yep.
You actually help people on this front as well, and your
Yes.
goal is to keep them from going to attorneys, spending a bunch of money,
Mm-hmm.
fighting their way into divorce versus handling it with, I don't know,
Grace.
Mm-hmm. Good word. I would
Yeah.
have spent all day trying to figure out a good word
Yeah.
there. Handling it with grace, being good for the kids, and not just crushing you on the pocketbook because you're spending so much money on attorneys. So
Yeah.
speak to that front.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things with mediation. The first thing, and I think what's important to a lot of people, is the cost. You go and hire attorneys. Each person's going to spend $20,000 to $30,000, and it's going to
Each?
take. Oh yes.
Wow.
And it's going to
Seth,
take years.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And they're going to lose the money or the assets, like the real estate that they have. And so, with mediation, they get to maintain control of it, and they get to decide what they want to do. So a lot of times, one of the most important pieces, asset that they have is their home. And so figuring out what do they want to do with it often means, seeing what it's worth, getting comps with Seth, which Seth is great at, and, thinking what are the options here. You go to court, you're letting the judge decide what you do with it. We let them decide, and there's options. They can, keep it together, sell it.
So let's integrate Seth here. So Seth,
Sure,
what happens
yeah.
with you now?
Yeah, and that's why the symbiosis is so important between, Amanda.
Both you guys
Amanda
are dropping
and I.
great
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. I brought a dictionary. I don't know where I put it, but I've been reading it all morning. So no, really, what's great about it is you spend so much time planning your life, and you do it together, and you map everything out. And then realistically, and Amanda and I have talked about this on several occasions, sometimes you have to litigate. Sometimes things just get messy enough, emotions get high enough.
Right.
Situations get weird enough that you're not going to sit at the same table and amicably work through something. That said, in those situations where you can mediate, from a real estate perspective, it's incredible. So, Amanda was bringing up a situation before the show about, when say a kid has say your son or your daughter has 2 more years left in high school, you want to stay in the school district, you want to keep them in the area, but you really need to separate now. If you go down the route of divorce, so many of the times, and I can tell you from personal experience, that home is just going to get sold. It's too, there's a lot of money trapped up in there. Attorney's fees are getting so high. The equity is many times used to pay off those attorney fees. Many times the judge is just going to decide, look,
It should
sell the
never.
house.
To me, it sounds like it should never get to the attorneys, right? Because when you have people like Amanda, you can save a ton of money, and you're neutral versus 2 attorneys that are just going after each other, and they're both making a ton of money. So neither of them has a vested interest in moving it quickly, or they almost want it to get ugly.
Yeah,
right?
well, I've
Not all attorneys
sure.
are bad, you know.
Yeah,
What I mean? Yeah.
because I've worked with a lot of family law attorneys that are amazing and really protect their side, the interest of their client. But let's face it, if you're representing, a husband and the other person representing the wife, you're going to pull for your side, and invariably that will be a fight. And whenever you're fighting with real estate, many times the sale that you're going to have to take is not going to be the highest sale. It's not going to be on the best terms. You're not going to have time to breathe and prepare the home for market and really get the most out of the sale. It's let's sell it. Many times when family law attorneys call me, and that's where a lot of my personal business does come from, says, hey, it's Friday. Judge says we need it on the market in 2 weeks, or we need it on the market this month. And they're not going to do anything. There's no money left. Let's get this thing for rock bottom prices so we can sell it in a month. If you can take your time, wait for spring, wait for summer, fix the property up, that could mean $50,000, $100,000 more in a sales price in some markets.
Do you ever see people try and keep the home, refinance it, and cash out the equity to pay off the other? I mean, that's got to be tougher, though, because then you got to qualify on your own, and you're talking about debt versus income ratios.
Yeah.
So I think, where a mediator can really help is it does give you, the top-tier realtor in our model here, the opportunity to, if someone were to reach out today and going through a situation, it gives you more time to sit down. Do you typically follow Amanda's lead? She's going to say, hey, here's where they're at. Here's some of the things we need to look at doing.
Yeah.
And then you have the ability to market the property, get top dollar, help both of them reposition, whether they're each buying their own home or going to rent or whatever it may be. But sounds like it goes from her to you.
It does. Amanda really is going to help direct the show. Obviously, the husband and the wife are really leading this, and that's what mediation is all about, is they're truly in control with the guidance of Amanda. And then I come in, give comps, let them know what the market's doing, provide them with some lending options through one of the partners of the show even, and help them understand, could you refinance it? Is that even financially plausible? But, of course, it always starts with, what is this thing worth? How much equity do we have or not have in the property?
Well, top-producing realtor Seth O'Byrne, he's on the American Dream, Premier Magazine, Pacific Magazine. He's all over San Diego. SethSold.com. .com. You've pretty much, the two of you have covered the entire spectrum. You got the positive, right? We're getting married. We're first-time home buyers, prenup. Get it all set up. Let's approach this with a long-term plan. You guys can help people on that front. Or on the other side of it, I hate you.
Yeah.
I want out of this property. How do we cordially separate without spending 20, 30 grand each on attorneys? Go to someone like Amanda. She can help in that process. And if you have to liquidate the real estate, you both have a vested interest in getting top dollar, moving quickly, peacefully, gracefully, and symbiotically.
Yeah, I like
Is that right?
symbiotically.
Is that the word?
Wow.
I don't even know what it means.
There you go.
I don't even know what it means.
Yeah. You can
Amanda,
Google
your
it.
website again, so everybody can reach out to you if they need to.
San Diego Family Mediation Center.com.
San Diego Family
Mediation
Center.com. Of course, we'll get you up on our website as well, craigsnow.com,
thank you.
sethsold.com. Seth, anything imparting about the real estate market people need to know about?
It's hot. I've spent the last 2 weeks just taking more and more listings. Many of them aren't going to be coming on till spring, but if you're a buyer, you're in the marketplace, you're growing fearful that rates are going up, and you're growing fearful that inventory's low still, hold out hope. In about 30 to 60 days, there's a lot of realtors like me putting a lot of good inventory on the market.
Are you recommending people wait till spring to list their home? Or
I recommend you wait till you find the right property, and if that's now, pull the trigger, of course. But if you are not finding what you're looking for, now would not be a good time to grow tired or grow.
Got it. So part of the process of selling is you're actually helping people identify their next property.
Absolutely. So
first time we've heard that. SethSold.com. Appreciate you coming in here, Amanda. Hopefully we can have you on again. Appreciate you bringing her in here.
Yeah.
Seth, not just a realtor, but a resource. All right, more of the Craig Sewing Show back here in just a moment.